2 points are 2 points in the world of basketball, but scoring 2 points coming from a jump shot is totally different than when you score the basketball coming from an alley-oop or a thunderous slam dunk. It is one of the most electrifying and spectacular plays in all of sports, especially when a player posterizes another player. Today, we're going to take a look at who has done it best. Let us check out some of the greatest in-game dunkers in NBA history. Never forget to subscribe to this channel if you're craving for constant NBA content, and tap the bell icon too, so you'll be updated with our latest releases. Also, be sure to stick till the end of the video to see the surprise entrant that you will not expect. 10. Derrick Jones Jr. Though he isn't particularly as famous as the other players on this list, Derrick Jones Jr.'s reputation of being an excellent in-game dunker precedes him more than anybody else. He came out undrafted in the 2016 NBA Draft. Jones had to claw his way up and even played briefly in the G League just to prove his worth. Standing at 6'5", Jones is an underrated wing defender that can provide firepower coming off the bench, but the primary facet of his game that stands out the most is his ability to finish above the rim using his pogo stick-like hops and crazy athleticism. Remember the time when he caught an alley-oop from Bam Adebayo, and when you check it in slow-mo, you can notice that playing above the rim was not just a basketball jargon that I just made up, cause his head was literally above the rim in this insane play. The pass that came from Bam was actually a bit off target, and Jones had to catch the ball far away from the rim, and he spiked it with authority, even if his left hand didn't graze the rim. His teammates gave him the nickname Airplane Mode for his high-flying tendencies, and I'm pretty sure that is not the final time that we're going to be seeing DJJ taking flight. 9. Russell Westbrook. At number 9, we've got the guy who frequently makes the rim cry. If there's going to be a separate video on who's the best in-game dunker that does it with power and authority, then there's no doubt that Russell Westbrook is going to be at number 1. In his NBA career that spanned 11 years so far, Westbrook has decimated human souls, backboards, and rims with vicious and thunderous throwdowns using his quick first step and explosiveness. Every dunk for Brody is like a ticking time bomb that instantly detonates as soon as his hands touch the hoop. I've been watching Westbrook since back then, and there are only a few times I've seen him dunk the ball gently and without much force. 9 times out of 10, he's out there to bring pain to anyone that stands in his way, whether you're a breathing person or an inanimate object. 8. Zach LaVine. Whether it's in an all-star weekend or just any regular season game, it really doesn't matter. The Zach Attack can bring a slam dunk contest type of vibe with a 5-on-5 format. One of his famous poster dunks was when he took the life out of Alex Len by throwing a soul-sucking facial back when he was still playing for the T-Wolves. Len probably didn't get the memo about the 2-time slam dunk champ and should have stayed out of his way for his own good. Every LaVine throwdown exudes tremendous ease and flair, but never lacks the much-needed strength to put it in. His aerial movements every time he pulls off 360 dunks can be mirrored to a ballerina pirouetting and gyrating in midair with grace and balance. He's no doubt one of the most athletically gifted players in this era of hoopers, and perhaps considered by many as the second coming of Vince Carter. Being selected in his first All-Star appearance this season, LaVine proved that he's more than just a dunk guy or a circus attraction that gets paid to showcase his high-flying aerial prowess. He's coming off a 25.4-point season while shooting over 50% from the field. Combining his natural athleticism along with his scoring ability will result in a more dynamic version of himself, and it's pretty easy to say that Zach LaVine will soar to even greater heights because of that. 7. Zion Williamson. We talked earlier that Russell Westbrook possesses the most power in terms of flushing it down around the rim. Now, if you add more inches to his height and more pounds to his body, you'll definitely be getting a product named Zion Williamson. I have to admit that I initially considered Zion Williamson as sort of a glitch in the system or genetic error because of his disproportionate height-weight ratio. Standing only 6'7", there's no way this guy can swiftly move around and be agile carrying his almost 300-pound frame. But for some mysterious reason, Zion is one of those outliers that did manage to make it work. Being famous for his courtside recorded highlight reels, Zion's dunking power is clearly off the charts thanks to his buff physique and innate athleticism. One of my fondest memories showcasing his brute force was when he ripped the ball out of Kevin Knox like a mean bully and slammed the ball afterward. Seeing him on a downhill drive is a scary sight for any NBA defender because you would never know if you're going to still be alive in the aftermath of a Zion Williamson posterization. 6. Blake Griffin. One half of the athletic Twin Towers during the Lob City Clippers era, Blake Griffin would always dazzle the crowd with his electrifying and earth-shaking dunks. Though he can still get up there and give you the occasional highlight now that he's playing for the Nets, pre-injury Blake was an entirely different beast, and I believe Timothy Mozgov can pretty much attest to that. Most of Blake's dunks were usually assisted by way of alley-oops and pick and rolls. This allowed him to have more room for creativity since he didn't have to do everything on his own. One of my favorite Blake Griffin dunks was when Jamal Crawford threw the ball between his legs against the backboard and Blake soared through the air, caught it in midair, and slammed it back down with a thunderous windmill dunk. Whether it was jumping over a car or another human being, Blake would give the crowd what they always wanted, and that is spectacular and powerful dunks at someone's expense. 5. Tracy McGrady. Standing at 6'8", Tracy McGrady was one of the most gifted and athletic leapers that we have seen in the NBA. Those extra inches added some ground clearance that helped T-Mac clear over human obstacles with ease and power. An example of this was when he murdered the poor 7'7" Sean Bradley in the playoffs with a tomahawk smash coming from the baseline. When you try to pause and look closer, you will notice that T-Mac's waist already leveled Bradley's head at the point where he tried to meet him at the apex. He also had a habit of humiliating teams by throwing the ball off the glass to catch it and throw it down in front of their befuddled faces. Size, speed, explosiveness, and athleticism. McGrady checked all the boxes when it came to being a great dunker and passed the test with flying colors. If it weren't for his cousin's perfect showing in the 2000 Slam Dunk Contest, heck, there's no doubt that T-Mac would have easily bagged the trophy that night. 4. Dominic Wilkins. The next guy on this list isn't called the human highlight reel for nothing. Dominic Wilkins was one of the fiercest dunkers ever, and if you would carve a Mount Rushmore of greatest rim finishers, there's no iota of doubt that Mr. Wilkins' face would be plastered there. This was the guy who outlasted several legendary dunkers like Julius Erving, Clyde Drexler, Larry Nance, Darrell Griffith, and the great Michael Jordan in the stacked 1985 Slam Dunk Contest. If you're going to ask me, Dominic was the one who put the windmill dunk on the map with his unique take on it using both hands with extreme downward force. He also has a strong upper body, and he could hang in the air, absorb contact, and finish with a two-handed throwdown against the tough shot blockers during his prime. For the record, the great Larry Bird did try to chase down Dominic one time, but the Hawks legend's momentum was just too strong for him and eventually served Larry an unforgettable facial. Aside from MJ, nobody came close to Dominic in terms of raw athleticism and dunking power in his time. 3. Julius Erving. If you want to see a healthy dose of spectacular aerial dunks in the NBA during the 70s and 80s, well, you better consult the resident doctor of the league. Julius Erving has cemented himself as one of the greatest high flyers of all time. Starting as a hotshot playing for the Virginia Squires in the now-defunct ABA, Dr. J carried his dunking prowess to the NBA when the two leagues merged in 1976. The ABA offered a more flashy type of playstyle and free-flowing offensive freedom compared to its much older contemporary. When Dr. J arrived in the NBA, he brought all that flashy stuff that he had learned in the ABA and made the NBA more fun to watch. Standing at 6'7" with a wingspan of 7'5", Erving glided through the skies with style as he treated his layups and dunks like an art form, and the hardcourt was his canvas. Witnessing Dr. J in his prime was like watching a well-renowned artist doing masterful strokes at the command of his brush. His swooping layup from the baseline against the Lakers was simply a thing of beauty, but one of his notable nasty aerial assaults was his trademark Rock the Baby dunk, where he cradled the ball and put it to sleep on Michael Cooper's face. This was the type of dunk where you would score a 50 in a slam dunk contest, but Dr. J managed to pull it off in traffic during a regular game. It just goes to show how creative of a dunker Dr. J was, as he would have a huge impact and influence on the next generation of great high flyers. Number 2. Michael Jordan. Excluding the GOAT from this list is just simply unacceptable. Michael Jordan is a once-in-a-generation type of athlete that can go up there, like way up there, have a sip of coffee in midair, and still have time to dunk the ball with authority after all that. During his prime with the Bulls, Michael strode with explosiveness in his legs, and his quick first step blew by defenders quite easily. With his signature tongue sticking out, MJ would deliver dunks left and right with malicious intent and let his opponents know that he meant business with each and every one of them. One of his trademark aerial flushes was his version of Dr. J's cradle dunk. Though Dr. J's was impressive, Michael put another flavor onto the iconic jam and modified it by flailing his legs and arms extensively to add more flair and aerial theatrics. What's impressive about his dunks was his hang time, as he could suspend in midair and could even get up to a higher floor when his defender already came back on the ground. Trying to block his dunk attempt or meeting him face-to-face at the apex was just not a good idea. Premier shot blockers like Patrick Ewing and Dikembe Mutombo both fell to Jordan's trap and suffered humiliation in front of a huge crowd. Case in point, when going up against the GOAT, better make sure first that you have the tools and skills to stop him. If not, I suggest you get out of harm's way to save face and avoid a lifetime of embarrassment. Number 1. Vince Carter. At number 1, Air Canada Vince Carter still reigns on top of the pecking order of delivering dunks, and believe me, no one comes close to his level up to this day. As the NBA looked for the successor of his airness, a fellow Tar Heel swiftly answered the call. In the 1998 draft, Vince Carter was selected as the 5th overall pick by the Golden State Warriors and eventually got traded to Toronto for Antoine Jamison. At his peak, the 6'6" guard was a walking human highlight reel, showcasing his inhuman vertical leap by performing jaw-dropping dunks night in and night out. 360 jam, windmill, reverse dunk off of an alley-oop, tomahawk one-hand air off the glass. Name a dunk, and VC has surely done all of them in a regular game. Despite his early struggles, he made the lowly Raptors must-see TV due to his unmatched aerial supremacy and freakish athleticism. Who would even forget the moment when he single-handedly brought back the once-lost excitement in the slam dunk contest back in 2000? And the time where he took his dunking skills to the global stage when he leaped and dunked over 7'2" Frederick Wise in the 2000 Olympics. He carried the Raptors into the winning column, helped them achieve their first playoff appearance, and now ranks 3rd all-time in scoring behind DeMar DeRozan and Chris Bosh. It's clear to say that the half-man, half-amazing put the Toronto Raptors on the basketball map and inspired a lot of players around the league. Throughout his career in Toronto, Carter averaged 23.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, and 3.9 assists per game. Which among these high flyers is your favorite? And if you momentarily had hops like MJ, what type of dunk are you going to pull off? Is it a windmill jam, tomahawk slam, or a 360? Let me know your answers by commenting down below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video.